In the northern sky, the constellation of Andromeda is made up of 16 stars. The Andromeda Galaxy, the closest complete galaxy to our own Milky Way, is located in the constellation that the ancient Greeks named after the mythical Andromeda princess. About his renowned work the Almagest, written in 150 AD, the ancient Greek astronomer Claudius Ptolemy included 48 constellations, including Andromeda. Although these stellar clusters had been known to ancient Greeks, Babylonians, Egyptians, and other cultures who frequently perceived them as manifestations of their mythical figures, Ptolemy's list was the first definitive description of constellations. One of Ptolemy's larger constellations is Andromeda. Over the years, an additional 40 constellations were added to Ptolemy's list. Since Ptolemy lived in Egypt for the majority of his life, he was unable to see many of these additions because they are located in the southern sky. Of the 88 constellations recognized by the International Astronomical Union, Andromeda is currently the 19th biggest. As it descends toward the horizon the further south you go, the Andromeda constellation is best seen from the northern hemisphere. According to Earth sky, it completely disappears at a latitude of around 40 degrees south. The 40th parallel south runs through the southernmost region of South America and is located slightly below the southernmost points of Africa and Australia. According to Planet Guide, the ideal time to watch Andromeda in the northern hemisphere is from August to February, whereas the visibility period is much shorter in the southern hemisphere, from October to December. In the northern hemisphere, Andromeda appears on the northeastern horizon at 10 p.m. local time from August to September before rising gradually overhead. It appears in the eastern sky around 8 o'clock in the months of October and November. According to Planet Guide, Andromeda rises at 6 p.m. and wanders over the northwest horizon from December to January. Andromeda is a prominent member of a large set of constellations that are named after characters from the Perseus and Andromeda story. Andromeda is well visible in the Cassiopeia constellation, which has a distinct W shape. The constellation can be visualized as a splayed humanoid with extended arms with a little amount of creativity. The figure's feet point in the direction of Cassiopeia and the Perseus constellation. The head of the figure links the constellation to the adjacent Pegasus square. Andromeda was the lovely daughter of the king Cepheus and the queen Cassiopeia in classical Greek mythology. The sea god Poseidon dispatched his pet sea monster Cetus to slay Cepheus' kingdom because her mother boasted that Andromeda was more attractive than the renownedly attractive Nereid sea nymphs. However, it was asserted that saving Andromeda may save the nation and its citizens. In order for the sea monster to easily capture their daughter, the daughter's adoring parents shackled her to a rock by the sea. Fortunately, the charming Prince Perseus rode by on Pegasus, a horse with wings, and fell in love with the lovely Andromeda. After killing Cetus, he wed Andromeda. They married and had a happy life. According to Constellation Guide, there are 9 primary named stars in the Andromeda constellation. 3 of these stars are among the top 100 brightest stars in the sky because their brightness exceeds magnitude 3.00. In addition to the visible stars, the Andromeda constellation contains a variety of fascinating objects that can only be seen through telescopes or binoculars. The Andromeda Galaxy, the nearest whole galaxy to the Milky Way, is the most well-known of these. The Milky Way and Andromeda are now separated by around 2.5 million light-years, and the two galaxies are headed toward collision in a few billion years. Alpheratz, Alpha Andromeda, Alpha Andromeda. Alpheratz, also known as Alpha Andromedae, is the brightest star in the Andromeda constellation. In essence, Alpheratz is Andromeda's head, but it is also a portion of the Pegasus square that it adjoins. Today, astronomers are aware that the star Alpheratz is a binary star, a system of 2 stars orbiting a shared center of mass, and that it is 97 light-years away from Earth. The larger of those 2 stars is the brightest known star with a special chemical makeup that includes significant concentrations of manganese and mercury. This so-called subgiant star is less than 4 times as massive as the Sun and 200 times brighter than the Sun. According to the Constellation Guide, the smaller star in the Alpheratz binary system orbits the larger star every 97 days and is about 10 times as bright as the Sun. Mirach. About 200 light-years from Earth, the star Mirach, also known as Beta Andromedae, is almost as luminous as Alpheratz. According to the Constellation Guide, it is a huge star that is 3 to 4 times as massive and 1,900 times as luminous as the Sun. Mirach is the left tip of the chained figure within the Andromeda constellation. Two far-off dwarf galaxies that are roughly 10 million light-years from Earth may be seen nearby Mirach. Almagest. Gamma Andromedae, often known as Almagest, is Andromeda's foot. It is a multiple star system with a core giant and two white dwarfs in its orbit. Almagest, the Andromeda constellation's third brightest star, is located around 350 light-years from Earth. The center behemoth of the star emits light 2,000 times as bright as the Sun. There are other stars in the Andromeda constellation. Delta Andromedae, Iota Andromedae, Upsilon Andromedae, Adhil, or Xi Andromedae, and Mu Andromedae are additional stars in the Andromeda constellation. The Andromeda constellation contains the Andromeda Galaxy, which is the Milky Way's nearest significant galactic neighbor. With binoculars, you can identify the galaxy, which is around 2.5 million light-years from Earth and scarcely visible without them. The right hip of the sprawled figure, adjacent to the bright star Mirach, is where the Andromeda Galaxy, also known as M31, can be seen as a hazy patch on the edge of the Andromeda constellation. The Cassiopeia constellation's right V form obliquely points toward the galaxy. Additionally, the constellation looked to be the origin of the Andromedid meteor shower, which used to occur in November on a sporadic basis. However, it is clear that these shooting stars had nothing to do with the constellation stars. The comet Biela's debris track, which Earth used to cross every November, was the true source of the space pebbles. However, as our planet's orbit drifted out of the path of the cometary debris in recent decades, the once spectacular display almost came to an end. The Andromeda Galaxy has been viewed numerous times in the past since it is readily visible with the unaided eye on gloomy evenings. Abd al-Rahman al-Sufi wrote the oldest recorded description of this galaxy. He was an astronomer from Persia who lived in the 10th century. Early in the 1600s, German astronomer Simon Marius described it as well. Andromeda was first thought regarded to be a nebula before it was recognized as the spiral galaxy that it is today. It was once believed that this so-called nebula was a component of the Milky Way. It was once thought that the universe's greatest galaxy, our own, held everything. Have you heard? S Andromedae was the first supernova discovered outside of the Milky Way. Additionally, it is still the only supernova event that have been seen in the Andromeda Galaxy. Additionally known as Supernova 1885 in honor of the observational year. The Andromeda Galaxy's distance was not fully understood at the time. They called it Nova 1885, but it was believed to be merely another close object in the Milky Way. Andromeda was given the designation M31 by Charles Messier in 1764. Astronomers had already given it several intriguing descriptions by that time. It was referred to as a nebula smear by Abd al-Rahman al-Sufi and the small cloud by some. Pierre-Louis Maupertuis, a French philosopher, referred to it as an island universe. On the other hand, William Herschel remarked that it is the nearest great nebula to Earth. Isaac Roberts captured one of the first images of Andromeda in 1888. Although at this time it was still thought to be a spiral nebula, a place where new stars can develop. This galaxy was known as the Great Andromeda Nebula for a very long time. In order to discuss the true nature of such a thing and the world as a whole, the great debate was held. Astronomers Harlow Shapley and Heber Curtis presented out the evidence for their hypotheses in 1920. The Smithsonian Museum of Natural History was the site of this unforgettable occasion. According to Harlow Shapley, spiral nebulae are only seen in the Milky Way. They are also relatively modest when compared to the Milky Way because they are contained solely within our home galaxy. Heber Curtis, on the other hand, thought that these nebulae were enormous and far away from Earth. Because they exist independently and apart from the Milky Way, he referred to them as island universes. The novae from the galaxy are significantly fainter than those found in other parts of the sky, according to his comparison of their various novae. This could imply that they originate from a location outside of the Milky Way. That was for today. Thank you for staying with us. Don't forget to like our video and subscribe to our channel.